second generation Agent Orange exposure. So this is applicable to children of veterans who were exposed to Agent Orange, came back home, later started their families, and children were being born to Agent Orange exposed veterans with some birth defects, with just different conditions that once you kind of add up how many children of veterans have these conditions versus how many children in the regular population are born with these conditions, there was a link found. The primary one is spina bifida. Spina bifida happens when the neural tube that covers the spine does not close all the way during a baby's development. And not only does it not close, but in the development, parts of the spinal cord and the nerves actually develop outside of the baby's spine because the spine doesn't close, a sort of sac forms, and the neurons and nerves and spinal cord forms within that sac rather than right down the spine. As you can imagine, that causes a lot of problems down the line that can result in serious disability. Your spinal column doesn't work, you're not have control over your bladder or your bowels or your legs. Exactly. So that's the most serious form of it. There's slightly more minor forms of spina bifida. There's a form in which the neural tube doesn't close and a sac does form, but the spinal cord and the nerves form normally. So you might have, there's a slight deformity you would say on the baby's back, but usually it's associated with more minor disabilities. It's not as serious as when the nerves are outside, obviously. There's also a third form, which is not even really, it doesn't really affect day-to-day life. It's called spina bifida occulta, which just means hidden spina bifida. And that is when the neural tube doesn't close, but it's not apparent. There's no marks, there's no sac formed, there's no indication that anything is, there's any kind of defect. It's usually just discovered in adulthood or late childhood. It doesn't actually affect, it usually doesn't result in disabilities. So that form of spina bifida, although that does occur with children of Agent Orange exposed veterans, that one's not something that the VA really concerns themselves with. However, the other two forms of spina bifida that do cause disabilities, that's something that VA has acknowledged happens related to Agent Orange. The spina bifida is the only condition that VA acknowledges is second generation Agent Orange from children of male veterans who were exposed to Agent Orange. So even though I've heard a lot of times, there may be some other birth defects that are kind of associated with Agent Orange, even for the male parent, that's the only one that VA covers is spina bifida. And so those children are eligible for healthcare benefits and also vocational training. So like job training, help job placement, that kind of thing. It's just a little something when you think about it. These children that are born with severe disabilities that VA is even acknowledging, it was Agent Orange. So they do, I want to say I think they should do more, but getting health care is a pretty good deal in our country.
That's
true.
No, I agree with you. That's definitely the kind of the least that you could expect in a situation like that. But we're happy that they're at least acknowledging it and providing the health care